Hi everybody, welcome to the video and live streaming show. My name's John Lacey and I'm joined as always by Sam Proof. Today we're talking all about and reflecting on our content creation journeys. So we're going to think about the things that we've been doing and how well or badly we think they're going and, actually have an opportunity to reflect. Maybe we want to change some things up. We're going out live to all of the various places, so we'd love to hear from you in the chat. So if you are joining us live, we'd love to hear from you. And again, I think it's a really good opportunity to reflect on some of these questions as we work our way through them. But Sam, how are you doing this week?
Good, good. I might be a little low energy today. Took the kids to the zoo. We walked for what must have been 20 miles. No. Feels
Wow.
like it. Feels like it. It was probably a lot less. Yeah, I'm doing good, John. How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. It's always a delight. I realize we're here in the future in Australia, but it's always great to see the weekend finally arrive.
Ah, yes.
It was sort of a shorter work week because we sort of had Monday off as part of Easter and the celebrations
Nice.
thereof. And it's weird in some ways. It's deeply counterintuitive because sometimes I swear those shorter weeks just seem to drag on forever. But we got through it, so it's all good. So like I say, today we really want to take an opportunity to reflect on the things that we've been doing and, maybe stopping to take stock and really think about what's working well and what we'd like to maybe change in the future, Sam. So I think just to get this conversation started, maybe if there are people out there that don't know you or don't know
Yeah.
maybe if you can give us a little bit of background on your journey and the kinds of things that you've been doing. And I know that you've been doing them for a really, really long time. So
Yep.
let's unpack it.
Yeah, I've been making web videos since longer than YouTube existed. But once all those services kind of started going, I've been a live streamer. I've been live streaming since 2005 on various platforms. That has become my professional journey. I've worked for companies like Super League Gaming and Mob Crush. And I've done production work prior to that in traditional film and television, things like Dish Nation and even Divorce Court, which is kind of my first taste at like, oh, I can live stream and they will pay me for that. I did like their rerun Facebook live stream for Divorce Court, which was pretty humorous in a lot of ways. But on the side, my wife and I are fosters to cats. We've been fostering for 6 years. We foster all year round. And because of that, we, of course, created a web version of that. So there are 24/7 live streams available through our website, through our platforms and channels under Cute Avalanche. So that is who I am and what I do and where my passions are. And now, John.
That's great. And I guess the other thing, and I never know if you want me to bring this up or not,
Sure.
but some people may know you from a little show
Yes.
called Tim and Eric.
I kind of always forget that at this point. I think it's almost been 15 years. It's like it's funny. Yes, I was the character Raz from Tim and Eric, which was season 2, episode 1. It was technically a non-speaking part, but it was dubbed, so people are, there is an association with that character. And yeah, even today, to this point, people still do recognize me, but in my head, if I've done it, it's already gone. Like I forget any accomplishment I've ever had within seconds.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when you're in the flow of creating things on an ongoing basis, like you're so tied up in the creation and
Yes.
the sharing and the promotion that I think sometimes it's very, very easy to forget these things. I guess for
Yeah.
me, and we actually met on a live stream I want to say 15-ish. It's probably more
Oh,
than 15
definitely.
years at this point
Probably
in
more.
time, but yeah, on a service that doesn't even exist anymore. But
Yeah.
back then, the early days of YouTube, being a YouTuber, connecting with other YouTubers, doing all those fun things. It was great. Like it was really fun and creative, and I enjoyed it. But I kind of put it away for a number of years
Hmm.
because
As
I
did I.
kind of, to be really honest with you, I kind of felt like it was all about the cool kids, and I was never going to be one of those. So I kind of just put it aside for many years. But I guess my more recent origin stories, there was a little. a little health concern around the globe, which I try not to name for various reasons. But
Yes.
at that time, in that period in time, I was sort of a face-to-face teacher, and I was teaching anything from basic word processing to advanced web design and development. And as our state of Australia locked down, all my work sort of just dried up overnight. And I was really fortunate in the sense that a friend's put me in touch with somebody else, and I had some more work in a different field shortly afterwards. But I guess I was really struck in that moment that I didn't really have a great network, that people didn't really know what I was capable of, and I really wanted to take the opportunity to work more visibly and sort of share the things that I feel like I'm good at and build a bit of personal branding and awareness. So, I mean, I have been, and again, I know you've been doing a lot of the things you've been doing on your channel. It's been the same channel for like, you know, a decade and a half at this point, at least. Whereas some of my properties on social media and elsewhere are relatively new. So, the numbers are very, very different. But I'm just looking forward to that momentum and just trying to keep going with all
Mhm.
of that. So yes, and I did sort of narrow down on live streaming and video creation and content creation more generally. And I think they're really valuable skills, and I want people to know that they can do more and they can do some better stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's really weird. We've done this show for this is our 23rd episode. I think not all of them actually made their way onto the internet, but it's a very different thing when you're talking about yourself as opposed to talking about concepts generally. So
Mhm.
just bear with me if I'm not as focused as I normally am. But let's
Yeah.
I sort of mentioned some of my goals there, but I guess I'd love to hear about some of yours as well, because I know obviously I think the goals of Cute Avalanche, the fan work, are maybe a little bit more obvious than they are for your personal Sandproof stuff.
Sure. I think it definitely being much more obviously niche on the front there makes it easier to kind of get goals. So, back in beginning of the year, on a very broad scale, my goals were essentially, as far as Sandproof goes, to, and I think your goals mirrored this in a lot of ways, to kind of establish myself as a voice or an expert in this field, and then kind of go from there. But to take that down to a more actionable thing, my sort of main goal, which I've kind of fallen back on, was really just to do an interview a month, just to be like, I just want to get out there and be talking, which this show really accomplishes. But on top of that, I also wanted to kind of do this other thing just to kind of push myself, get out there. And I did do a couple early on, and that was really great. However, I'm going to quickly talk about Cute Avalanche and why that's changed everything. So for Cute Avalanche, as fosters, our goals straight out were just we wanted to foster as many cats as possible this year, because the last couple of years has been really kind of weird with that aforementioned, not mentioned event.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, we really want to kick it off and like really save as many cats as possible this year and do that. And that's sort of the fostering goal. Online, I made a lot of goals, which early on I wanted to um, monetize our channel and our project better. So I kind of isolated and focused on YouTube and Instagram as those sort of things. And as far as making that actionable, for YouTube, we'd already hit the 1,000 followers. So really it was barreling down on, chipping away that 4,000 hours of watch time, because the 10 million shorts views, I don't know how that happens. It seems
Mm-hmm.
unattainable. And then for Instagram, it's kind of an iffy, like, what does it take? There was no real guideline out there. So we're like, we're going to try and go for 1,000 followers on Instagram. So hopefully that unlocked Reels. Interestingly enough, Instagram recently sunset the Reels bonus program. That was the monetization creator fund for Reels. It sounds like other things are happening, but those things are not revealed at this time. So we've doubled down on it's just YouTube. That's the goal. Um, and yeah, I think last week we either were very close to the halfway point or we had just passed the 2,000 hour watch time, which we've now we're almost at 2,200. So it's all going pretty good. And hey,
Nice.
Joe. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's great, and big hello to Joe, who's joining us. Hoping we had a great Easter.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for
And
being
back
here.
at
It's
you.
always great for your company. That's there's a lot of different things that you've just said that I'd love to unpack, and I guess we'll
Yeah.
do that in some of these more these subsequent sort of topics. But
Yeah.
I guess again, and I've mentioned this already, but I'll just briefly mention it again, is that for me it's predominantly a personal branding project, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to just make people aware of the things that I'm good at. And my background is predominantly sort of in teaching and teaching technology specifically. So again, I just want to make sure that I'm sort of sharing those sorts of things and doing it in a really visible way, because I think sometimes it's really easy to assume everybody knows everything you know and also
Oh,
knows what you're capable of. It's that curse of being the expert. Sometimes you don't know that something is a big deal because it just
yeah.
came so naturally to you or you've done it a million times. So I think it's really worthwhile unpacking some of those things. But I guess in terms of deliverables and destinations, and this is the video and live streaming show. I'm John Lacey, and I'm joined by Sam Proof. Today we're reflecting on our own journeys as a creator of content online and just taking stock of the things that we've been doing, how well we think they're working, and some things that we might want to change moving forward. But I guess one thing that, because we actually did have a show about working with goals some time ago. Again, I have
Yeah.
no sense of time anymore. But and I guess one of the great things that you mentioned at that point in time was to really focus on the things that you have control over. So
Yes.
it's much better to think in terms of I want to produce so many shows or I want to do a series on this
Yeah.
rather than I want to have 1 billion subscribers.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into that, and you don't always have that influence. So, I guess for me, in terms of the deliverables and the destinations, my priorities are predominantly LinkedIn and YouTube. And again, much of that is because I'm fairly career orientated, and I do have that tutorial approach to content. It's not to say that I don't put things other places, because I certainly do, and I think that can be worthwhile in terms of building just general awareness. But those are my focus, and I guess the other thing too is just making sure that I have plenty of content on my website. So I do this show. I do my coffee and content show as well. I try to have, somewhere between 3 and 5 short clips that I spread out during the week. I've also got a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn about live streaming and video and content creation that comes out on Wednesdays, my time. So those are the places that I try to put my focus. And I guess one of the things that I like to explain to people is that having a routine can make your life so much easier in some ways. If I know what my deliverables are ahead of time, I can sort of work towards them. And a lot of the things, like saying the newsletter, are very much about the things that I'll be doing in the live streams later in the week. So they sort of promote each other. But Sam, can you talk to us a little bit about your deliverables and your destinations?
Sure. Yeah. For Sam Proof, it's kind of, I think right now, very much up in the air. Like a month ago, I'd be like, it's Twitter, it's Twitch. That's what I'm working on, and occasionally I'm throwing up vertical shorts. Um, but I the kids just had spring break, and so my sort of routine for 2 weeks has just been totaled. Um, but that being said, also with a bunch of recent changes, I think I already had doubled down on Cute Avalanche, but now it's like quadrupling down. Like it's 100%. That's the main goal. So even my own show on Twitch is like 4 days of live streaming of me working on Cute Avalanche stuff. The only other sort of thing is now this show, which sticks to the more original theme of things for me. As far as Cute Avalanche goes, um, obviously we do a 24/7 live stream on Twitch, and now we're also doing a different 24/7 live stream on YouTube. So those are perpetually going. Those are their own schedule. You know, there's no real schedule there. It just is a thing. But also we're doing pretty much every other day. I'm trying to launch a vertical video, a shorts video, for right now. My goal with that sort of schedule is, as we get closer to our 3,000 watch time hours, which should happen about the end of this month, everything's going as projected, is once we hit that, I'm going to start doing weekly, if not twice a week, long form videos. And those are going to be probably 1 or 2 clips from our Twitch, or a montage if I decide I miraculously have time to do a montage of clips. So we'll do 1 or 2 of those sort of like Twitch clip highlight videos, and then the alternating one is going to be an educational, informational video. And hopefully that'll sort of sprint us to that 4,000 hours of watch time. I'm really trying to hit that by, coincidentally, my birthday, May 24th, because May 25th of last year, your watch time hours, it's a full year. So May 25th last year was the last time I guess we did a live stream, and there's a big spike there. So at that time, I'm going to start competing against myself for watch time hours and having to overwrite existing hours. So where we're making like good progress, we're making like 40 to 50 to 60 hours of watch time daily right now. We hit that peak, and it's going to go to 10 to 15 hours of watch time progress. So if we can hit it before that, we're gold.
Awesome. Okay, I just want to mention, hi to Julian, who's joining us in the chat.
Yeah.
He's got some great comments here. It's not who you are, it's who Google says you are. And it's one of those things that I know where, I keep hearing this expression that I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and that's great. But the reality is people don't have a lot of attention. They really need to know who you are and what you do. And if you've listed out 37,000 things that you do, they're not going to remember any of them. So I think focus is really important. But the other thing that Julian mentioned here, which I thought was great, is it's your efforts are not wasted regardless of immediate metrics.
Yeah.
And I think that's... And again, if you've seen this show before, you will know that I talk endlessly about the importance of having a content library. But the fact that you built something, you've put some time and energy and effort into those things. If they're really, if you have a message that it's worth sharing more than once. And it's really important to think about the investment that you're creating. Not just in your content, but also in yourself and your business potentially. And I kind of, a part of me is going to try and put this comment from Insomnia Doodles on the screen. I don't think it's going to work because it's all images, but let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
good to know though.
It's the custom emotes from Twitch don't come through. Normal emotes probably would, like anything that's a universal emote. But yeah, it was very cute cats. Thanks, Insomnia.
Yes.
Hi, Insomnia. Hey, Julian.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. This is the video and live streaming show. I'm John Lacey, and I'm joined by Sam Proof. As always, today we're sort of taking an opportunity to reflect on our journeys as content creators, and really just take stock and sort of assess how well things are going and what things we might like to change moving forward. So let's talk about, some of the more positive things. What do we think is actually working well? So Sam, I know you just sort of mentioned the fact that you're building towards this YouTube watch time goal. So clearly that is working well. But are there other things that you might like to call out either for yourself or Cute Avalanche as examples?
Sure. I mean, that was the thing I was going to keep talking about that. No, but within that, obviously the live stream itself for Cute Avalanche on YouTube has been a big part of that boost and has been very successful. I don't know about very successful. I think we'd have hit our goal already. but I have, paired that with a bunch of shorts videos. And while uh, those videos, I feel like, again, they're successful, they're not very successful. I'm hitting 1,000, 2,000 views, where a couple months ago when I started doing shorts on YouTube, I was hitting maybe every once in a while 1,000, but most of them were hitting 100. I think I found an interesting style, which is a very like meme style of things. There's a lot of like special audio happening, or like trending sounds and things like that, and that's all kind of pulling together. I still miss occasionally, which is interesting, but I've also made some adjustments, and I've noticed some things, and um, I think my kids are probably screaming really loud and coming through because I can hear it, and I apologize to anyone else who can hear it. So it's very distracting to both of us. Um, but yeah, so now I've started to, like, I cast a big net. I was like, we're gonna see how these go, and these are story videos, and we'll kind of just take our foster journey and see how those go in micro vlog style, and they were okay. Some of them was actually very okay. And then I did like, I'm just doing trending sounds because they're trending, and some of those were okay. And now I've kind of found this coalescence of almost both of those worlds, where it's like, how do I take this trend and utilize things that are happening in our foster journey? And I think I've kind of found that blend, and it's starting to take off in a good way, um, on top of the live stream, and that's why we're seeing the growth that we're seeing. We've actually had a bunch of subscribers, which is pretty interesting. There wasn't even my intention, because I did not think shorts viewers would convert to subscribers. It just didn't occur to me that that was a thing that would happen. So that was nice. We hit like 200 and 250 in the last 90 days or something like that. Um, and then yeah, the whole watch time thing, which has been going great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And again, I guess the thing I have to sort of call out here is that, obviously Sam's been working with the same YouTube channels and the
Mhm.
same social media properties for a really long time. A lot of my things have only been around for maybe a year at this point. So the numbers are very, very different. And we'll talk about maybe the YouTube short stuff in a little bit. But I guess for me, the things that I'm finding are going well is that I'm getting better at my craft. I've got the ability to whittle down some short clips from these live streams and edit them and transcribe them and do all of the things. I've really got that down to quite a science, and it's not very time consuming at all. So I'm really happy with that. I think I'm also getting a good sense of the things that I want to talk about. And again, I'm very focused on live streaming and video and content creation. So those are the three pillars that sort of
Yeah.
underscore everything that I do. And I guess I'm getting more feedback from the audience about the particular places they want me to explore, particularly in terms of OBS Studio. There's a great appetite for that, but people are
Yeah.
still quite daunted, quite scared, really, of that particular software. And we try to hold their hands and nudge them gently towards it. But obviously, there is still a bit of a barrier there, and I'll talk about what I want to do with that moving forward. But I guess that is, and I'm sort of slowly building audiences on a couple of different platforms. One of the things that I didn't expect to be nearly as successful as it has been is my LinkedIn newsletter. And I think the reason that is doing so well is because LinkedIn actually nags people to join it. I don't need to do that. And I can be quite self-conscious about sort
That's
of
interesting.
promoting my own stuff. So that in itself has been quite useful. So, there's all kinds of things out there that we're doing. So this is the video and live streaming show. I'm John Lacey, and I'm joined by Sam Proof. Today we're talking all about our journeys as a content creators, and what we think is working well and what might need a bit of improvement. And that improvement thing is what we're going to have a look at next. So again, as we go through these, I'd love for people, if you are a content creator and you're watching along, to maybe reflect on some of these yourself. If you're up to sharing in the chat, we'd love to hear about it. But if you just want to contemplate that by yourself, that's cool too. So Sam, what kind of things do you think you'd like to maybe develop and work on further?
Sure. I mean, your ability to utilize your content library and create multiple pieces of content, I'm still in awe of. Like, I try really hard, but I am very all over the place trying to do all these different things, and then to like go back to something that already existed, which we've established. Once I've done it, it's gone. It's hard for me. It's really hard for me to go. I should do that thing in more places again. Um, so yeah, being able to utilize our past footage and stuff like that, for both properties, really, I like to get better at doing. Um, but specifically with Cute Avalanche, it's as planned and established. It's getting to that point where I'm creating good quality long form content, because the short stuff is quick and dirty. It's like boom, 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 in and out, and it's easy peasy. I can make that in like 5 minutes and have it online. And the long form stuff, I know I'm going to have to sit myself down and be like, remember when we did this? We would edit for like 17 hours. We're going to do stuff like that again. so, so that's where it's going. And, going to have a real talk with myself.
And I guess like I know I talk about that a lot, but it is a very different mindset, and I'm really helped by the fact that the software that I use for editing, which is Camtasia, which we've spoken about previously, like it literally has its own library feature built into it. So, again, it's like I say, it's a bit of a mindset shift. So if I mention the Elgato Stream Deck, I know I've got graphics and I've got images and I might even have some footage. It's just a matter of remembering those exist and finding
Yeah.
them. And again, if I've named them well in the library, I can literally just search for them. So that in itself is quite useful. But I totally get where you're coming from, because even as someone who believes in the power of the content library, who preaches it all the time, and one of the reasons I preach it is sometimes life just happens and you don't have time to create something new. And you can go back and repurpose
Yeah, that's
some of
right.
those things. I mean, on certain platforms, that makes more sense than other platforms. So you do need to think about that a little bit. But
Yeah.
I guess I had to, like a couple of weeks ago, I kind of had to take my own medicine, because as much as I say that, I don't always do it. There's a part of me that's like, no, everything has to be new. And I was like, no, I'm just so burnt out this week. I'm gonna repost some clips from previous shows, and that honestly that was fine. I think it helps you stay top of mind for a lot of people in your networks. So that's I know and again, I don't want to make anybody's life more difficult, but I just think that's an awesome thing to do. And maybe it's an awesome thing for you to do, but maybe it's an awesome thing for somebody else on your team, depending on what your setup looks like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, certainly keep that in mind. I guess one thing that you've mentioned a couple of times that is definitely in my needs improvement bucket is the long form content. And I think I've had a lot of mixed feelings about the short form vertical video. And I think I'm sure I've been saying since the very beginning of this show is that I don't know that we're going to build a lot of relationships sort of 7 seconds at a time. And I share those clips out to those places, but I don't think they're really designed for those. I just share them because I have friends on those platforms, and
Yeah.
there is that, bringing yourself to the top of other people's minds. So I think that's useful, and I'm going to keep doing that. But I think I don't judge the success of those videos by how well they do as a YouTube short or a TikTok or even a reel. What
Hmm.
I think is really useful is my ability to just share them on social media more generally. So my feeling is that most people don't have the time to commit a whole hour to this show or even half an hour to my other show. But if I can drip feed them little moments from these shows, at least they know it exists. If they
Yeah.
do have an interest, they can sort of come and commit to the rest of it. But getting back to my original point is, yeah, I definitely want to do more long form video content on YouTube, and not necessarily like hours long, but maybe 5 minute tips
Hmm.
about YouTube. I guess one of the things that I'm most proud of on my channel at the moment is there is a video which is literally just a live stream. I cut the top and tail off of it. I made sure it had real captions. I made sure that I had the timestamps there so people could actually jump around to the different parts of it. And that's really what I want to do more of moving forward, because I think especially on YouTube, I think that is the superpower. We talk about, signposting your content and using words because that's the way that, search works. And I think I
Yeah.
really need to do a lot more of that than I have been doing. So that's certainly something that I want to really double down on. Because I think that there's something vaguely gratifying about seeing the watch time from the shorts, but I'm not really
Right.
convinced it's going to lead to the kinds of relationships that I want to build moving forward.
No, I think the thing with shorts is really it's just brand recognition, right? Because your typical person who's watching shorts is just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. But like 7 days in, when they've seen your face again and they're like, oh right, this guy with the live streaming thing, he did that one video and I liked that one thought and I wanted to see if there was more on it. Finally you're going to get someone who jumps off. But yeah, 99% of those people, which is why I was so shocked that we got subscribers out of shorts. But 99% of those people are just, scrolling by to get their dopamine hit.
Hmm.
And, there's very different audiences for long form and for shorts. And that's why YouTube had to redo their whole algorithm early on because they were like, shorts broke the algorithm for long form content people because for long form viewers because they would have gone into shorts and they spent an hour or 20 minutes going through like 50 shorts and suddenly the algorithm went, oh, this person only likes videos under 8 seconds. So they had to redo their whole algorithm to be like, don't pay attention to that for this. uh, yeah, so
And
yeah,
I
I think it is just brand recognition.
Yeah, and I think that's valid. I guess, and to be really real with you, I'm not going to stop posting YouTube Shorts.
Oh, I wouldn't.
I am having some issues with TikTok, and I'm kind of, a part of me is wondering if I just let it go. To be honest, I kind of enjoy scrolling mindlessly through,
Yeah.
but as a content creator, I don't think it's probably a great use of my time, and I think increasingly governments are deeply concerned about this. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel like I don't know how this is going to play out exactly, but my
Mhm.
feeling is the more splintered that audience gets, maybe the less beneficial it will be as a platform. Again, that's
Yeah.
I don't have any great crystal ball, but that's just my instinct at this point in time. So
Right.
yeah, I guess that's something to keep in mind. But that's certainly something that I want to do more of. I guess another thing that I try really hard to make sure I'm up to date on my website, and I posted about all the shows that are coming up and the things that are happening in the near future, and sort of documenting that well. And again, in the spirit of signposting that content, using all of the words and all of the heading styles, and
Right.
making it
Yeah.
visually scannable for the user, but really making sure that it's quite obvious to search engines what that is about. Again, Julian mentioned, it's y a lot of the way people will see you is how you're reflected online and through
Yeah.
Google's eyes and other things like that. So, again, I guess the thing I need to keep telling myself though is I do have some perfectionistic tendencies sometimes, and I've got to just remind myself sometimes it's better to get things out than to make them perfect. And that's one of the things I love about live streaming because if I've set up an event and there's a time and a day, I know I have to show up and do it. And if I trip over my words, which invariably I will,
Sure.
to be honest, it's fine. But sometimes if I'm making a video, I can just think about that video for the rest of the time and not hit record and not edit and not do the things and post it and get it out there. So that's another sort of form of friction, I guess, that I can sort of consider too. Joe Serrano is asking about something called Sassy Grandoris,
I am
which
not familiar with
apparently
this.
is was somebody that was on YouTube
Hmm.
Shorts. Apparently, he's passed away. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about that actually, Joe. So maybe we can have a look at that after the show. But I guess it is. We don't really know how the algorithms work, and that's kind of by design. So I mean, sometimes I guess the thing that I encourage people to do is think strategically and think about what you think might move you forward and towards your goals. I think sometimes there's a great danger in chasing all the trends. I
Yeah.
think those things can be very popular for a very short period of time. And I always push people to do sort of evergreen content where possible.
I definitely think a mix of the two is good. Also, since the trends seem to start on TikTok, if you're seeing a trend on TikTok, immediately do it on YouTube instead. You might be ahead of the curve. So that seems to be working. Uh, but yeah, I would always suggest doing a mix of, of everything. Like you're mixing formats, you're not mixing topics. Like it's all whatever your niche is, just give people a handful of different stuff, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is the video and live streaming show. I'm John Lacey and I'm joined by Sam Proof. And today we're talking really about our journeys as content creators and taking an opportunity to reflect on the things that we've been doing, seeing, how we feel about them, whether we want to double down on them, whether we want to try something different. If you are a content creator and you're watching live, we'd love to hear from you in the chat if there are things that you're particularly proud of or that, maybe you'd like to explore in the future, or maybe things that you just want to leave alone and not worry about them. Again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, one of the things that I say a lot is opportunities are everywhere, but opportunity cost is real. So again, as tempting as it is sometimes to want to do all of the things, I think really you've got to narrow your focus and really commit to a couple of things. Do them for long enough that you get some data. Check
Yeah.
in with yourself as to how well or badly you think they're working and whether you want to continue them or do something different. But speaking of doing something different, Sam, let's talk about future goals. So, what are some things that maybe you'd like to explore in the future with Kid Avalanche or Sandproof or both?
Sure. Again, yeah, most of my attention is on Qt Avalanche right now, and uh, our goals have been going. We've been kind of reassessing things, and based on some advice from a friend of mine, I've actually considered starting a newsletter, which we just put out there, and we started gathering, signups on that. We haven't actually sent one out. It's probably just going to be a monthly kind of thing. But yeah, we're gonna put some focus into that, and I want to update all of our platforms and channels to have a more uh, similar look. Like there's a lot of different banner cover images here and there, and I want to make them all the same thing. So you're like, this is definitely Qt Avalanche. This is the same as the blog, as the YouTube, as the Twitter. And then also want to just kind of clean up our merch shop and really put some focus on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess, I mentioned this briefly before, but I really like it's become almost a personal mission at this point in time to make OBS Studio a little bit more accessible to the
Mm-hmm.
average person. And I think I really do want to make a series of long I was going to say long format. They don't need to be too long because I guess people are really daunted by that platform, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess there are very simple things that I want to call out, and I want to do it step by step, but also have them, not be hours of content, but maybe somewhere between 2 to 5 minutes a
Yeah.
particular video, just walking through the absolute basics, and really just encouraging people to focus just on those basics because obviously, and we've spoken about this before, but OBS is a very complicated. Well, it has a lot of functionality, but I guess the thing I like to tell people is you don't need to explore all of that functionality. Just stick to
Right.
the things that you
Right.
need right now, and you can always grow into it later on. But that's
Yeah.
certainly something I want to do, and I've been using some of those topics for my other live stream, coffee and content, but I kind of think I'd love to just do even shorter and snappier videos about those things and
Sure.
build a playlist of those, get them sort of ready to go. I guess another thing that I really want to do more is, actually have conversations with other
Yeah.
creators. I mean, this show has been amazing because before this show, I didn't regularly talk to anybody about any of this stuff, and all my friends don't know why. You know, the minute I finish my day job, that I go and record videos and write articles and do newsletters and stuff. Like they
Yeah.
have no idea. And even in the beginning, with our because again, just as a bit of background, we used to do this show just between the two of us, and we'd record it and we'd put it up later on. But even in the process of editing those conversations, that was so amazing because like I say, I'd never had an opportunity to talk to people that are
Mhm.
doing sort of similar things to me. And I do really value that. And I guess I want to talk to other people, and just embrace other communities. I am actually talking to Tanya Smith from Stream Like a Boss next week, which I'm really excited about. She has a great community, but I guess I kind of want to explore more collaborations in that way.
Yeah.
Another thing, and again, I had an audio podcast a million years ago when I first started on YouTube, and I spoke to my friends, and Sam was featured on a number of
Oh, yeah.
episodes as well. And I do want to do an audio podcast again. I've actually got it set up. I've got the artwork. I've got the Libsyn account. It's all sitting there waiting to go. I just haven't had a chance to record those episodes yet. So
Nice.
again, that's another thing I need to carve out some time for because as much as I love video, there is something amazing about being able to slip on some headphones and go about my day and hear people in my ears. So
Yes.
I think it's all good fodder. I firmly believe that all content is filled with opportunities. So
Yeah.
you just need to explore the things that will make sense for you and your audience.
Yeah. I would definitely love to explore a podcast for Cute Avalanche as well, but I need to find more people. It can't just be me talking about cats.
So I guess would that be talking to other foster
Yeah,
parents?
I would most likely find one or two other fosters or people at Kitten Rescue or Best Friends, who are two of the sort of bigger rescues that we've done a lot of volunteer stuff with. Like Kitten Rescue is the one that we volunteer for to do our fostering. Best Friends, we've done a few things here and there to help fundraise for them. So yeah, either other fosters or someone from those two rescues, I think would be, like a permanent face. And then maybe we bring on guests. Maybe it's just talking about whatever's going on in the world of fostering that week.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know we've spoken about monetization in a previous episode, but cat lovers, they're really primed to buy things for their cats and
Sure.
food and toys and beds and all of
Sometimes even
that.
more
So
so than for their own selves.
yes, indeed. Yes, they often love their cats more than they love themselves or other people.
Yeah.
People are so annoying, but that's a whole other discussion. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, there would probably be some great sponsors willing to get involved in that.
Yeah,
So that would definitely be worth exploring. So
for sure.
that's awesome. I would be really excited to hear that moving forward. But yeah, so I guess as we say, I think we both kind of want to, in our respective areas, sort of reach out to more people and have more conversations because I think uh, just in terms of the relationship building, the networking, and the fact that you're creating content at the same time, it's sort of win-win-win everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the video and live streaming show. I'm John Lacey, and I'm joined as always by Sam Proof. Today, we've been reflecting on our journeys as content creators. So, we're not going to wrap up just yet, but I think it's a good opportunity to maybe sort of direct people to places where they can see some of your content in
Oh yeah.
action. Sam, so can you talk to us about that?
Sure. Yeah, you can find me and all of my stuff over at samproof.tv, and Cute Avalanche is, cuteavalanche.com, but primarily it's Twitch and YouTube. Um, and yeah, I'm Samproof everywhere.
And again, if you want to swing by my website, johnlacey.com, I've got a lot of articles about live streaming and content creation, and there are links to social media things in the footer if you want to check those out as well. Let me just have a look at the chat because there's
All cats.
a lot. It's all cats, which that's fine. We like cats. I'm just trying to read these things, and I feel so self-conscious about looking at the chat right now because somebody slipped into my DMs and was like, "You're not looking at the camera enough," and I'm like, "I'm
It's a
trying, really,
live
I
stream.
am."
It doesn't matter. I don't.
Yes.
Nope. Look at that. Nope.
And I think it's funny. And again, I don't want to go on a rant about AI tools because I could do that for years. But there is literally one
Yeah,
that will pretend that you're looking at the camera no matter
it's
where
pretty
your
good.
face is pointed, and it might be good, but it might just be incredibly creepy. And even if you're having a conversation with somebody
Yeah.
in real life, it's not like they're sitting directly opposite you, staring you in the eyes all the time, because
Right.
that wouldn't be a good
It'd be
relationship,
too
I would
much.
suggest.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it's fairly safe to assume that the cat lovers love to spoil their cats. So that's great. Okay, awesome. So again, I'd be really curious. If and there are a number of people in the chat at the moment, we do appreciate your company. If you've got any questions about really anything, including today's topic, that would be great.
Yeah.
But I guess let's just briefly recap some of the things that we've spoken about. So, and these are probably worthwhile prompts for you to go off and think about as well. So, what are your goals? It's really hard to know if you're winning if you don't know what you're striving for. So keep that in
Right.
mind. And maybe focus on the things that you do have control over. So, what are those deliverables? Where are you putting those? What are the destinations? Because I think, if you don't know what you're hoping to do, then again, you have no idea if you're winning or losing. We've reflected on some of the things that we think are working well for our respective projects and properties. We've spoken a little bit about things that need improvement and also some of our future goals as well. So it's like I said, outside of this show, I don't have a lot of conversations with other creators. So I love the ability for us to come together and discuss these things. So yeah, Sam, is there anything else that you want to mention as we get closer to wrapping up?
um. God. Geez, I don't know. I was all prepared to show my to share my watch time hours. I had like had it ready to go, and then the conversation kind of deviated. So I have this ready. I feel like I should show it just so people can like share, not to toot my own horn, but just to share in the glory of this. Like this is, you can see, you know, this is a 90 day. So right there is like 45 in the middle. And before that, before we started doing the live stream and shorts almost every day, you can see it at the bottom with the gray where we really started ramping up on all that. So that's a quick payout, like payoff of like, boom, that's working, right? Like you can see it was almost nothing. That was something. So there, and just tooting my own horn.
Absolutely. And again, like that's kind of what I mean. When I talk about the having a routine and actually setting some expectations for your audience, but even just for yourself, and like saying, I go live on these particular days and I like to
Yeah.
post the shorter clips at these times. Um, Again, like that one sort of clip that I mentioned that was from my other live show that I sort of cut up a little bit and posted and had the transcript and the captions and all of the things. Like I think that actually works really, really well because it is signposted, and that's the kind of thing that I want to work on moving forward. So, yeah, again, just think about what you're doing. Don't be too hard on yourself either. I know, like I said before, I have some perfectionistic tendencies, and sometimes they help me produce high quality content. Sometimes they just keep me miserable in every aspect of my life. So be gentle with yourself, but keep going because you really need to be in it to win it. And I think, again, this is something that's from my own experience. Sometimes you don't feel ready, and you're like, I will do the thing after I read 300 books and watch 400 courses, and it's like you will
Yeah.
actually get better feedback by doing the thing and just seeing how it
Yeah.
goes. And
Do it and fail.
yeah, to be honest, I don't even think fail is the right word,
No.
but like once you get started, you'll see things that you think will work well and things that, maybe you can stop doing. And that's really, really powerful. Like honestly, just get started.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your company today. This has been the video and live streaming show. Again, If you want to catch up with Sam, you can head over to samproof.tv. He's Samproof everywhere except on TikTok, where I believe it's official Samproof.
Official Samproof, yes, because some girl stole it.
I remember many, many years ago, I wanted to register MySpace with John Lacey, and I wrote the real John Lacey as my username, and I had this big. I had this really whingy thing on my profile, and of course, the person that had that actual username found it and thought it was hilarious, which I loved. But anyway, and if you want to catch up with anything I'm doing, again, you can head over to johnlacey.com. I've got the articles and the links. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon. And yeah, have a great week. Reflect on your own journeys as content creators. Think about what you're doing. And I guess really just have patience with yourself and keep going.
And for the cat people, I'll see you in tomorrow's Catterday chat on the Twitch.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good weekend.